In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose. As long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts, Alex and Sean. On this episode, we're going to be talking about White Sox and Cubs baseball. We're also going to be talking about the release of the official Chicago Bears 2026 schedule, which we'll jump into. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You get to see the stars of tomorrow today at family-friendly, affordable prices. So make sure you head on over to icehogs.com. Get yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, tickets, and more. Tell them Swerski Sports sent you. Alex, my friend, how are you doing on this beautiful Sunday afternoon of 80-degree weather?
You know, I have been enjoying this weather to a T all weekend. It's been great. I've been hiking in several different areas. I've hiked out in the southwest suburbs. I hiked way out in the western suburbs along the river. And today I actually went up to Beloit, Wisconsin and hiked up there for a little bit. So that was really, really fun. There is no way in hell I was not going to be enjoying this weather this weekend. And it feels good because, I don't know if you've known this, but I've been dealing with a kidney stone issue over the past few months. And it kind
I
of,
have. Again.
yeah, it flared up again this week and it really
Oof.
sucked. And I'm like, I feel so much better. I'm going to go out and enjoy myself. So I was able to really enjoy the great weather this weekend.
That's good. I'm sorry that it's flaring up again. That's
Yeah.
kidney stones are no bueno.
Oh no, they are the worst. So seeing my urologist later this week, but yeah, wish me luck on that. But hey, I mean, everything was a lot better when I started to feel better and then was able to get out.
That's good. So where do you want to jump into first?
Hey, I was saying before this show, this is my one of my favorite shows of the year. It's the Going Over the Bears schedule show. And let me just say, as someone who is really into art, I do paintings and drawings. As somebody who is a huge fan of Bob Ross, I absolutely love what the Bears did with Roma Dunze doing the Bob Ross bit to bring the schedule out. I thought that was just awesome.
Oh yeah, that was definitely good. I grew up watching Bob Ross as a kid because I grew up in the middle of nowhere and we didn't have cable, didn't really exist where we lived, and we didn't get very many channels. We got like three channels and one of them was PBS. So
Uh-huh.
I watched a lot of Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, and Bob Ross.
Yeah. Well, I remember as a kid when I was like in grade school, I remember coming home on Monday nights, doing my homework, and I want to say it was on at 4 or 5 o'clock every time on PBS. Bob Ross was on TV at that time on PBS when I was a kid. And I remember asking my parents to tape a few episodes because, back then the only way I could watch was watching on TV or watching a replay on a tape. So my parents in the basement still have a lot of old VHSs, like from me and my brother's childhood. So I went down there and I looked through some of the VHSs and I found one of the tapes that had some old Bob Ross episodes on them. Now I could watch these Bob
Wait,
Ross
wait, wait, wait
episodes.
for it. Wait for it. That's a happy little accident.
Uh-huh. Nice going. Just happened to stumble upon it. Happy little accident. And I've watched many of those episodes over and over again on YouTube, but there was something about firing up that old family VCR that's down in the parents' basement and just putting it on and watching that grainy footage that was taped for the Bob Ross episode and seeing the post credits like in part by Hobby Lobby stores, and then we captured a little bit of the next commercial break, and it was all like the old early 2000s WTTW local graphics. And I'm like, man, this is a throwback. But yeah, I mean, Bob Ross means a lot. I have a lot of his equipment that I use to paint, actually, like his brushes, his knives, his paint. So seeing the Bears do this, I'm like, did they do this for me and for all the fellow Bears Bob Ross? Because there's plenty of Bob Ross enthusiasts out there, including yourself. So it's like, man, this year we're going to go out and do a tribute to all of our Bob Ross fans. So it means a lot to me.
I love it. Love it. So should we jump in there?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So opening game, week one. Nothing out of the ordinary. We got a noon game on a Sunday at Carolina. I think that's I kind of like starting on the road. There's less pressure. That week one, you get a lot of pressure to win because it's the first game of the season. And at home, the expectation, especially if you're a good team that has high expectations, you got to win those home games. So you get that first one under your belt on the road. Even if you lose, it's no big deal. You come back, you clean things up for your first home game. So I do like that it's on the road. And Carolina they're not a slouch team, but they're also not a good team. So I think that's a nice week one start.
Yeah, I mean, you're not facing a gimme. I mean, you never do in week one. The NFL is weird. The NFL, every team has to be respected regardless of opponent. And I mean, especially week one when everybody's healthy. I mean, we've seen how many weird things happen in week ones of NFL seasons. I mean, we see Super Bowl favorites or defending Super Bowl champions lose week ones all the time. Heck, remember when the Bears beat the eventual NFC champion 49ers in that monsoon in week one of the year that they tanked? I
Yeah,
mean, a
with the
lot of weird
Justin
things
Fields
happened.
slide.
Yep. Yep, exactly. When it was literally playing in a swamp. But yeah, no, I mean, there was a lot of rumors that this was going to be at the Seahawks, which would have been a hell lot more challenging considering the Seahawks are defending champs and playing in Seattle is one of the hardest places to play, arguably the hardest place to play in the NFL. So, yeah, I think it's an interesting week one matchup and yeah, no complaints there.
And then you come home for the first of three straight home games. The next week two is a noon Sunday game against the Vikings. So jumping right into a division opponent.
Yep.
Um, I do like when you get into this, they've spread those division opponents out um until the very end. Then it's three straight weeks. But for the first 15 weeks, they spread them out pretty nice, which was good. But week two, you get the Vikings, and I think it's good to catch them early because that they're going to have a new quarterback most likely, and you want to catch them early because otherwise they're a pretty darn good team missing that quarterback. And if you can catch them early, get that victory in, and you know, um, hold them down in the division.
I also kind of like that that's a noon game too against the Vikings at home because you know that in every one of these division matchups, you're going to have at least one primetime game for each one, or holiday primetime, whatever it is. You're going to be nationally televised on each of these for at least one. So, that's another thing to note too is your first 2 weeks are noon games at Carolina and at home against the Vikings. Because after that, there's a lot of non-noon games. Let's just say that afterwards. And some even with the potential to flex. So you're not going to be flexing week one or week two. But beyond that, you have the potential to flex others that are not already in prime time. So you do start the season off with 2 noon games.
Right. And we don't even have half of our games at noon on a Sunday, which I love noon Sunday games. So
They're the best.
it's a little bit of a bummer. Um, but week three, that's a big test. Is the Eagles come to Chicago for Monday Night Football?
Yep, there's your first big televised game. And, why wouldn't it be two playoff teams, coming off last year? And, last year was a big deal because they were on that Black Friday matchup. And that was the game I think the Bears really started getting the national attention. Because, they were what, 7-3 going to that, and people are like, okay, they're winning. We're seeing some kind of goofy things there, but
They're
here's the
winning.
big
They're winning by luck, barely winning
right.
against bad teams. What would just wait till they play the Eagles? The Eagles are going to rough them up. Blah blah blah.
And then the Bears went into Philadelphia and pounded them a new one. And Ben Johnson took his shirt off and gave Chicago free hot dogs. So that was truly the game. I think the Bears came out and people were like, okay, this might not be just some joke team anymore.
Yeah, because I want to remind everybody before before the bye week, which was an early bye week last year. Um, before the bye week, the Bears might have been one of the worst teams in the NFL. That defense has stunk all year. I mean, they were opportunistic and got turnovers, but they were a bad offense or a bad defense, and that offense was just abysmal. It
They
was
couldn't run.
they couldn't run, they couldn't pass. They were just a bad team, and I mean, do you remember the Family Fest where everyone went, ugh,
Yeah,
ugh.
I was there. I saw it, and I felt the same way. And then Ben Johnson's message clicked. I mean, truly, the most heroic thing that Ben Johnson and his crew did last year was getting that run game going. That made all the difference.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw the story is some of the new coaches that came in this year, assistant coaches for the Bears, they were as a team reviewing the tape from last year, and they started with training camp tape and all the way through the preseason and the regular season, and those coaches went, "Is this the same team?" Like is like they were shocked at how bad they were to start training camp and start the preseason. And it wasn't until they took that bye week and they made the most of it. They were like, you know what? We're going to switch our identity. We are going to run the football. And they ran the football.
And
So,
ran and ran and ran and pushed that pocket forward.
yep. So what I'm hoping for is the fact that most of this offense is going to be the same, that instead of starting at ground zero, they start where they finished last year and just build from there. Because, for as good as that offense was in the fourth quarter, the first three quarters, they're pretty pedestrian for the most part.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at how many of those games. I mean, look at both Packer games, both the playoffs and the hell. Look at all three of them. Even in the game where they almost came back in Green Bay, they didn't do shit in that first half. And
Yeah.
you could say the same thing against the Giants. You could say a similar thing against. Oh, let's see. There were a few others out there. I mean, they lost this game. This was still kind of early on, so I won't count it against. Remember that really bad game against the Ravens where they had a
Hmm.
lot of opportunities to put more up and they just didn't, and then eventually cost them. But again, that was early. But even so, I mean, when I think of games that they got off quick to like an offensive spurt, the ones that come to mind, and this isn't even putting up like a ton of points, but the Steelers game, they came out a little bit. The Browns, but the Browns are bad, even though that is a good defense. And you could say the Eagles game, although it was a close game until they really pulled away at the end and they were more opportunistic, but at least they were consistently moving the ball in that game. I mean, like one game I could think where they really came out guns a-blazing was the 49ers game because that was a shootout.
Yeah. But this offense has the potential to be a really, really good offense. And we're going to need that because I still don't know how much I trust this defense.
I don't either.
And,
I don't trust them getting enough pressure on the opposing quarterback, even if they scheme a little bit better.
my big worry is, uh, can they stop the run? And if the Bears offense starts clicking, that's going to do that defense a big favor and take away the run from the other team. Because if you get up two touchdowns, you know, even if it's early, a lot of coaches will panic and go away from the run. We're already
Sure.
a pass happy league. And if you start going again away from the run early enough, that favors the Bears because it puts them in passing downs right off the bat and they can just pin their ears back. And I think if you just put them in passing downs, especially where the down and distance is, you know, 6, 7 plus, it does give you the some benefit. And the fact that you added some speed and some better blitzers, I think you can be middle of the pack as far as pass rush, but it's that run. I don't know how they're stopping that run, you know.
I'm going to hope that they're better this year. I mean, I remember in the offseason when they signed some guys that were better at stopping the run. Now, I mean, a lot of those signings are literally just guys, but if you're able to use them to at least better your run stopping, then any improvement I think is going to be welcomed and it's going to make an impact. But is it going to be good enough to beat some of the elite teams? That's where you're going to need your offense to really shine because, you know, we're talking about playing the Eagles right now. And when you play the Eagles, you are playing a team with Saquon Barkley, a team with a good trench. So, those games are going to be where you're really testing this defense, like you said.
And the fingers crossed is that we have a healthy Grady Jarrett this year. Even when he
Yes.
played last year, I was told from a source that his knee was just absolutely gross, and he was basically playing on one leg the whole season, even when he played.
Yeah, and I mean, they're paying him some solid money. So you're going to want to get some of the value there. And obviously, from Dayo Dangbo now, he was paid to get to the quarterback. He didn't do that before he got hurt, but at least he seemed to be better at stopping the run. So those are two important pieces, regardless. How good
Uh,
they're going to be, I don't know.
so yeah, that's week 3 against the Eagles on Monday Night Football. Week 4, you return back. I mean, you're still in Chicago. Return back to noon Sunday against the Jets. Um,
Got to win that one.
you gotta win that one. That's a bad team. Um, don't know what else to say about that team. They're bad. Then week 5, you go to Green Bay, and that's a afternoon Sunday game. Um, and so that's still an early game. You're going to have probably good weather. It's not going to be crappy Green Bay weather. At that point, we're probably early October.
Yep.
I don't have the dates on there. Uh, and so that'll be in Green Bay afternoon game.
That's
Weeks,
the earliest they've been in Green Bay in a while, it seems like.
I think so. I think so.
I don't remember the last time they were in Green Bay that early in the season. I mean, last year it was December. The year before that it was week 18. The year before that it was also week 18. 2022 I think was week 2. So they were in Green Bay, but still that was a few years ago. That was 23, 24, 25. It'll be a few seasons since then. And, it might not seem that long, but remember, this is a division opponent and you play him twice a year. So the only place I'm going with this is remember how last year both matchups against Green Bay were towards the end of the season. And it was similar-ish in 24. The first matchup was in November, so that was more mid-season, but you had gone several seasons where you didn't see the Packers for a while.
You
I,
know what?
I like that it's
2020,
spread out.
2022, 2023, they played in September. Um, but before that, all December, November, December, November. Yeah.
Well, in 23, that was the home opener at Soldier Field. Fuck that game. That was a disaster.
Um, so that's week 4 or 5. Week 6, going to Atlanta. That's a noon Sunday game. And that'll be an interesting one because I'm curious of what Atlanta's going to look like.
Yeah, that could be one where you might not look at it right now as a tough opponent, but they have pieces. I'm curious to see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm curious of how they'll look. Uh, it's, you know, I mean, on paper, you're like, all right, Michael Penix has not been very good. And then you add Tua in there, who's terrible. So maybe they're not, but Michael Penix, has talent. It just, can they turn it on?
Will a new regime with some new philosophies maybe unlock some things? I don't know. It's kind of early to tell. But we'll see. And again, you always add a little bit of complication when you're playing a team on the road, regardless if you're kind of wishy-washy on them. So this is in Atlanta, and it's not always easy playing in Atlanta, so that'll be an interesting game.
Um, yeah, so I'm hopeful that one goes well, but it's that one could be a trap game, especially coming right after Green Bay. Week 7, go back to Chicago for Thursday night football against the Patriots.
That'll be a tough one. You're playing the defending AFC champs. We'll see how that team does after all the distractions with Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini, but that's still a really good team.
Distractions plus the curse of the losing Super Bowl team.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose.
I mean, the Patriots, they were a lot like the Bears. They lucked into some wins. They were a good team that lucked into some wins and then found a hot streak. They also benefited by a really weak AFC.
Well, I mean, look at the AFC Championship because Bo Nix was hurt. Who the hell were they playing at quarterback? I don't even remember the Broncos.
Yeah, it was. I don't even know. I don't remember. But they had a pretty easy road. Um, so I could see room for regression here, especially going from a worst to first place uh, schedule, and plus did all the distractions and the hangover from losing the Super Bowl. But I mean, also Vrabel could just use all of this like in uh, a way just like Bill Belichick did, and turn all the distractions into fodder for the bulletin board and come out kicking ass. I never underestimate the Patriots.
Nope, you never can.
Week 8, you go to Seattle for Monday Night Football. And
Yeah, there's that matchup we were waiting for with the defending Super Bowl champs. They've lost a lot of pieces, but that's going to be tough.
yeah, the good thing about it is it's a mini bye because you go from Thursday night to Sunday night, so you get half a week of extra prep for that.
Hmm.
But that's going to be a real tough game. Even when they've lost some pieces, that's a well-coached team. They've got one of the best home field advantages, and the Bears are, flying all the way to Seattle. So that's going to be a real tough game.
Absolutely.
Then you fly back to Chicago to play Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday Night Football. So 3 straight um, primetime games.
Caleb versus Baker,
Yeah,
assuming health.
yeah. I like the Bears in this one early because I think the Bucks are in a little bit of a, I don't want to say turmoil. It's a bad word, but I don't think they're on the rise. I think they're a team that's struggled last year and might struggle again this year. Not struggle like the Browns or the Saints, but um, you know, they're not going to be much more than a mid team. Then we get a week 10 bye.
Which
Uh,
I'm okay with. I kind of like that mid-season buy more than something super early or I mean, I know you could argue that you'd like to buy maybe a week or two earlier, but I'd rather have that mid-season buy than like week 4.
yeah, I mean it served out. It turned out in our favor last year because the Bears needed that bye to reset and recalibrate. My hope is that they don't need that at this point, and it's really just rest and recovery rather than fixing all the leaking holes in the ship.
You have a bunch of like just spouts coming out of the ship's hull and everyone's just sticking fingers in there trying to plug it.
Get marshmallows, plug them with marshmallows. Yeah, they just started mounting Marty Havlat crock pots on them to catch the spit out the overflow. So we get a week 10 bye. And then followed up with a week 11 at home against the Saints, which is a noon Sunday game. Um, and I don't know how good those Saints are going to be. They were pretty bad last year.
Yeah, I do think though they'll probably be a bit improved, but right now, if you're look again, we're looking at it in May, so things are going to change so much until then. But I think looking at it right now, you think, okay, that's one of those games where you want to go out and win.
Right. Week 12, another primetime game is you go to Detroit on Thanksgiving to play the Lions.
I knew this was going to happen. Before the schedule released, before there were any leaks, I said, I guarantee you the Bears and Lions are going to be playing on Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was a given. That no doubt in my mind. Um so they go to Detroit to play the Lions on Thanksgiving, which should be a fun game. Hopefully it's not the early or the late game. I like the middle game
Well,
because
it's usually the first game in Detroit.
um I just don't like the late one because at that point everybody's tired and wherever you went for Thanksgiving, you're probably driving home, um, or staying late there. You either got to get out of there early to get home to watch football, or you're there late watching football and then you're tired. Um, so I'm hopeful it's an earlier one and get that one out of
Yeah,
the
it
way.
should be the 11-21 because that's when they always play in Detroit. It's that first one. So, yeah, I mean, I think my least favorite would be the middle one, which that's always Dallas because the first one is always Detroit, the second one's always Dallas. I couldn't tell you the last time the Bears and Dallas played on Thanksgiving. I mean, I know they did in years past, but in my lifetime, it's been a long, long time. And I mean, the matchup called for it. Defending champs of the or the North Division versus, a team that is also going to be competing for the division who used to have the Bears head coach. So yeah, I mean, it made all the sense in the world.
After that, they come back to Chicago for a noon Sunday game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Um, and it'll be interesting to see what that team looks like this year. They took
Yeah,
a
well,
big
Liam
step forward.
Cohen, keep
They,
him going.
that's a guy that was weird, and I didn't want him as our coach. And do you remember the Bears interviewed him for their offensive coordinator position uh, under Eberflus?
Hmm.
And um, you know,
Eberflus couldn't be out weirded apparently, so they said no, even
and and,
though
and the Jacksonville's coach is a weird dude. He's a weird dude.
he is. But
Duval, it's
whatever he's doing is working.
it's working. So we'll see what they look like this year. And then week 14, you go down to Miami for a noon Sunday game against the Dolphins.
You got to beat that team.
Yeah, that team is going to be brutal.
Who's even their quarterback right now?
I don't know.
Because they got rid of Tua. Did they sign somebody? I might have forgotten. Let's see. We have to look this up.
The Malik Willis.
Oh, duh. That's right. They signed him to a That's right.
Yeah. And then they also
Oh,
have
okay.
Quinn Ewers and Cam Miller.
Yeah, I keep forgetting he signed there. We'll see how he does as a starter because I think he earned that paycheck for his time in Green Bay. But will he be able to step up as a starter? We'll see.
Because his time in Tennessee was bad.
No, it was not good. It was not good. But did Matt LaFleur coach something into him? I mean, is this going to be like a Sam Darnold type situation?
I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah. And we saw how he played against the Bears last year. I mean, he's hopefully with the defense having changed a little bit that we see a bit of a different dynamic. But based on last year's defense, that was kind of the prototype to beat the Bears. And what you're hoping for with this defense now is that they're a bit quicker in the middle of the field so they could mitigate some of the things that Malik Willis can do because let's be real, our linebackers as solid as I liked Tremaine Edmonds, he was not a quick dude. So, when you have slower linebackers in the middle of the field and you're not getting the pressure up the middle, it's easy to get burned by a guy like Malik Willis.
Then week 15, we go from Miami to Buffalo to play Saturday night football against the Bills.
Isn't that at their new stadium?
I think so. But it's gonna be a tough game.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're playing Josh Allen.
Josh Allen at the end of the season when the playoffs seeding is on the line, that is gonna be an absolute must-watch game.
And remember too, it is the reunion of DJ Moore and the Bears.
I just please no DJ Moore revenge game.
Oh, you better count on it, Pally.
Is in my lifetime, it's always the revenge games are always the wrong way. It's never the other way, ever.
No, I know. I know.
We don't ever get the revenge game. We always get the it our direction, and I don't like that.
The one time I could think recently is didn't DJ Moore go off against the Panthers like
Yeah,
in
but the Panthers are
2024?
terrible.
Yeah, that's
Not
true.
that's not a. I mean, I want it against somebody that's legitimate, where you're just like, damn, and helps you get a victory that you didn't otherwise deserve.
Are you saying that 2015 when the Bears upset the Packers on Thanksgiving, the Josh Sitton revenge game was not on the top of your mind?
The Josh Sit, he blocked the shit out of everybody. Josh Sitton. Uh, and then after Buffalo, come back to Chicago to play the Green Bay Packers on Christmas Day.
Yeah, hey, I wanted to really enjoy a nice, relaxing Christmas with my family. Oh, got to stress out about Bears and Packers.
I know it's gonna make the whole day miserable.
I know. Unless they win. Then I'm going to be the jolliest, happiest motherfucker
You know
alive.
what though? Even if they win, it's not gonna be one of those, oh my God, I'm so happy wins. It's gonna be one of those ones that the whole game stresses me out. I mean, both the two victories last season against them, where even though they won, didn't you feel absolutely miserable most of the game?
Yes, I mean, I would say between those two wins, between week 15 and the wild card round, I was miserable 85% of the time.
Just 85? Okay. I
I'm being generous here.
oh, those games I like the the one where they came back from big, I was just like, I remember telling my wife, I turn this game off. I don't ever turn the games off. I'm turning this one off. I'm done. Season's over. Bah. And and then they score and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna sit down for a little bit more. And you know, it just it was it was a lot for my heart and my indigestion to have to deal with.
No, I know. I know. I feel the same way. Now, do you remember the last time the Bears and Packers played on Christmas?
Is that the one where Lance Briggs intercepted um, Brett Favre?
Yep. They won the division. They clinched the '05 NFC North on Christmas Day against probably the worst Packer team of my lifetime. I think, if I remember correctly, I think the '05 Packers went like 4-12 that year. It was far and away the worst Packer season that they ever had in my lifetime. Favre, that was the year Favre, I think, had that bad hand. Like his hand was hurt and he was brutal. The team was brutal. And the Bears swept him that year. And Rex Grossman started that game and they won 24-17. I've rewatched that game many times. But yeah, I was in sixth grade, Christmas of '05.
Where do you watch it?
YouTube.
Oh,
Game's
the,
on
the whole
YouTube.
the whole game is on YouTube?
Whole game's on YouTube.
Huh.
Several posts.
Huh.
Yep.
Huh.
You'll have to go watch it. First touchdown of the game, Mushin Muhammad, strike to Mushin Muhammad. And the Packers almost came back, and then they sacked Favre twice at the end, and then he just threw a duck just blindly and then got intercepted, and the game was over.
Yeah, I remember the interception and I was just pumped.
And you were living in Philly at the time, weren't you? For that '05
I
division
was, but I was
championship?
back here. I was back in Chicago watching the game at my mom's house. So I was
Yeah.
very excited about that.
21 years ago now. 21 years. Because that was honestly like The first Bears division title, I clearly remember. I remember a little bit. I was in second grade technically, for the '01 season, but that season didn't really, I mean, I was still really young and the season just didn't resonate with me that much. I can't say that I was going gaga over Shane Matthews at quarterback, although Mike Brown was a stud, but yeah, I first really resonated with the Bears, when Lovey came in and, they won that first division, then they went to the Super Bowl the next year. But yeah, that was really the first time I remember watching the Bears clinch a division title.
So hopefully we have another Christmas present to us in a victory over the Green Bay Packers.
That would
Uh,
be nice.
and then that's the start of three straight division games to end the season. So then week 17, the Lions come to Chicago for a Sunday afternoon game against the Lions. Um, and hopefully by that point we know we know where we are as far as playoffs go. Um, and these division games don't matter that much, hopefully.
Oh, I think they're going to.
I think they're going to too.
They're absolutely going to mean
I
something.
think this is going to be a really good division.
Oh, yeah, I think it's going to be even better than last year. I think you could see three teams. Because I'll be honest with you, you know what? How about this? Let's do a little exercise. For me right now, rank 1 to 3 your biggest concern teams in the NFC North right now. How you see it right now.
What the ranking for the division is?
Yeah, so like like not
Oh,
what you
who's
think
the
the standings will be, but who do you think are the biggest threat 1 to 3 to the Bears?
uh,
I have mine. Why don't I say mine
I'm going to
now?
say I think it's going to be Lions, Packers, Vikings.
It's funny because I actually kind of think the opposite. I agree Lions in the middle. I think that
No, I think the
Vikings.
Lions are going to be it's going to be Lions, Packers, then
Oh,
Vikings. That's my
sorry. Okay.
um
Right.
I think the Lions are going to bounce back. A lot of their problem was that offensive line. I think they'll get that fixed. Um and they just have a really good offense.
They do.
Really good offense, and that's a problem for the Bears
They
because their
do.
defense is bad. So I have them uh Packers. I don't know how much better the Packers got from last year.
But you assume that when Micah Parsons comes back, that's going to be a boost for them.
Yes, but also is who's their backup quarterback because Jordan Love has had some injury issues over the years and he's not like anything super major, but he's missed games and um they don't have Malik Willis to buoy them through those. But Micah, I think, is it's going to take him a few weeks, I think, to get up to his full form.
Of course. I mean, you got to expect that coming off major injury.
Yeah. But I don't love the rest of their defense, and I feel like they can scheme against one dude. It's that Lions offense just really gave the Bears fits. And then the Vikings are they're a really good team. I don't know if I love their quarterback situation still.
So here's how I'm seeing it. I agree that the quarterback situation is a big question for the Vikings. However, I would argue outside of the quarterback, I think the Vikings have the best overall roster on paper in the division. Look how well they played last year despite not having good QB. Like they went 9-8 with JJ McCarthy. If you get a halfway
JJ
correct,
McCarthy and Max Brosmer.
yes, and Max Brosmer. So if you put a half competent dude behind there, that's kind of frightening. But I agree. I think there is some question there, but they're kind of the team I'm worried about the most. And it's the fucking Vikings. It's every other year. they either overachieve or they underachieve. Every single year, they alternate between overperforming and underperforming, it seems like.
And when I
With,
rank them, none of them are cakewalks. I think
oh,
all
of
three.
course not.
It is just who's that flavor, and with the Lions, that offense. I don't know who will wind up with the best records. I'd have to look at their schedules, et cetera, et cetera. But of those, the uh, as Micah Parsons is definitely a game wrecker, but I feel better knowing Ben Johnson will be scheming against him. With that Lions offense, even with that bad offensive line last year, they just kicked the shit out of the Bears. The Bears couldn't do anything.
Yeah, they
And
did. Yeah.
I just don't know how the Bears will stop them.
You're going to
Ye-
have to win like a 45-41
Yeah,
shootout, basically.
yeah. And that um and they have a good pass rush. So it's going to be tough. I the way you beat the Lions is you rattle their quarterback.
Yeah, you
And
rattled Jared Goff.
the Bears can't do that. That guy, the minute you start rattling him, he just the rails start coming off. And the Packers always have had the number of the lines because they've been able to get to him.
Yep.
The Vikings have been able to get to him too. It's the Bears can't get to him. So that's why I rank them. I don't know who will wind up being the best record of those three, but as far as the Bears, I don't like the Lions matchup against the Bears. And Packers, the Packers have that juju St. Louis Cardinals Brewers magic. Um and but the Vikings are probably the most talented of those three teams.
Right. And that's where kind of my logic comes from. Because I rank it Vikings, Lions, Packers. They're all very close, tight knit. Like you said, there's no cakewalks here. I mean, the Packers on paper don't frighten me all that much, but they're so well coached and they're the Packers. So, like, they're going to be a major threat to you and they're going to find ways to win games. You
I
summed up the Lions
wonder,
perfectly,
I
too.
wonder. So if you go through like the history of Michigan versus Ohio State in college football, coaches get fired because they can't beat the other person.
Right.
I wonder if, no matter how good he's been, if Matt LaFleur, if he continues to lose to Ben Johnson and the Bears, is that going to be his downfall?
I mean, maybe it obviously has to happen first because Matt LaFleur could easily beat them again and just rearrange things again. But uh, they gave him an extension. They're clearly bullish on him, but um, it's something to look out for. And not just the Bears. If you look over the past few years, what was it, 2024? Matt LaFleur went 1-6 versus the NFC North. The Lions swept him, the Vikings swept him, and the Bears went 1-1 and were a blocked field goal away from being completely winless against them. And sorry, I meant 1-5, not 1-6, but you know what I mean.
It's funny because Packers fans do not like that guy.
A lot of them don't. I know some that do, but I know some that don't.
I mean, yeah, that's fair, but there's a lot of vocal dislike against him. And, I don't know a lot of Packer fans that I talk football with. Um, Most of the Packer fans I know are just casual fans, so they don't really have an opinion other than like, "Ugh, they stunk last year. Ugh, they were good this year." Ugh. Um, but I see a lot of the Packers like bloggers and podcasters, and man, most of them just do not like him.
No, and I think a lot of it is somewhat unwarranted because I think Matt LaFleur, I mean, I don't like him personally, but I think he's done a lot of good things in Green Bay. Like, I think he's done great things with Jordan Love. I think he's made Jordan Love a very capable quarterback, a very, very good quarterback. Um,
There was issues with Aaron Rodgers when he was there.
But how much of that is on LaFleur and how much is that Rodgers just being a pain in the ass?
Honestly, I think it was a bit of column A and a bit of column B because there was times where Matt LaFleur got really conservative in important games.
Which is true. We remember the NFC Championship against Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. That is true.
But Aaron Rodgers also went off script and did things that weren't part of the offense, and so it's you got both sides of the coin. I think the relationship between Jordan Love and LaFleur is a lot better, and that synergy is much better.
Well, and it was because they hired LaFleur and then they drafted him that offseason. That connection was there from day one.
Yeah. So I think that, and Jordan Love has gotten a lot better. I mean, do you remember the reports on him when he first got drafted? They're like, he can't hit the broadside of a barn with the ball.
Yeah. And
They,
now he's very accurate.
yeah.
And I think a lot of that is because of Matt LaFleur's coaching. I really do. My thing with Matt LaFleur is I think he's a great schemer. I think he's great with working with quarterbacks. When he puts together a scheme, he is absolute top tier. I think close, big games and managing clock and managing situations in dire moments, I think that's his downfall. I really do.
I think he's not good at making adjustments. And when
Which is
something he
part of
wants to
that.
do is not working, when he finds things that are working and things are going well, you're like, oh my God, he's a genius. But he gets conservative, and when things aren't working the way he wants, he doesn't always pull a rabbit out of the hat. And I mean, I guess that's a lot of coaches. And we don't even know where Ben Johnson's all of his warts are yet because he's still new. Um, and we saw early on that how frustrated were we, even with Ben Johnson, is man, this offense looks like crap. Do you remember Max Crosby just single-handedly wrecking shop on that Bears offense?
Yeah.
Um, we're like, man, everybody knew you got a scheme for Crosby, and the Bears couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, is this going to be a bad situation? And then by the end of the season, we forgot all about that. But growing pains.
Yeah, exactly. Now, it's really interesting. You brought up a topic that I think is interesting to at least consider. You said, we don't really fully know what the warts are for Ben Johnson. I think there is a wart that is kind of sticking out. And I think that this was even an indicator in Detroit is I think the fourth down play calling, I think that is something that he legit needs to get significantly better at.
I don't disagree. I'm going to say this is I don't disagree, but I think it's the third down call when he knows he's going to go for it on fourth down is when he's abysmal.
That's fair.
Is
That's
when he
fair.
goes super conservative on that third down when he knows he's going to go for it on fourth down, and it puts so much more pressure on the fourth down. And I think you try to be, you don't want to go to a fourth down. Is give a good call on third down. Don't
Yeah.
don't give up third down because you're going for it on fourth down. That just seems stupid. Is try to get it on third down. Don't make it go to a fourth down. Give yourself that fourth down as a safety net.
Sometimes I say, and it's so easy for me to second guess this. Ben Johnson knows 10 trillion times more than I do when it comes to the National Football League and how to scheme and how to execute and the players he has on the field. But, sometimes I say to myself, I wish that third down call was the fourth down call and the fourth down call was the third down call. Because remember late in the season and even in the playoffs where you had 4th and 1. And sure, you can argue old school would be take the points, but if you really want to get that 4th and 1 first down, when you saw them moving the pocket forward and Kyle Monangai being able to push forward, you're asking, why didn't you run that on fourth down? Instead, you're doing like a play action pass, or they're doing a pass and something went wrong and the ball ends up either getting intercepted or incomplete. Like you remember, there were several plays where that happened.
Yeah, and I think the closer they get to the end zone, Ben Johnson does better with spacing. And I think part of that is that I still think that offense had, holes that were being masked. Um, I still didn't love that offensive line. They did a good job for the most part at being able to run block, but they also weren't, um, it was a lot of zone blocking and pulls. And when it's, goal line, 4th and 1, 3rd and 1 at the goal, like what you need is those big bruisers that go up there and to open the hole, and they just really aren't that.
No, they're not. They're not. Now, it will be interesting because there is speculation, obviously, with drafting of a tight end that you're going to see more 13 personnel out there. So, a lot of that is going to be used in the run game. So you do wonder if certain situations they're going to be turning to a run play more because of that. Now, there obviously could depend on the situation, but I mean, again, I feel like it'll be very interesting to see how the Bears handle some of those 4th and 1 situations in enemy territory because some of them were a bit head scratching last year.
I'm going to throw a term out there for you that I don't know if you're ready for. Ben Johnson running 14 personnel, where it's one running back and four tight ends.
I mean, if they carry four tight ends, why not?
I would be shocked if they don't,
I would be
honestly,
shocked if they don't either. I do believe they will carry four tight ends.
because they're gonna keep all three that they drafted,
Right.
and then Ben Johnson talks so much about Hayden Large, the undrafted kid from Iowa, that I can't imagine him not making it.
Of course his name is Large. Of course his fucking name is Large.
I'm just excited. They're going to run this 14 personnel, and teams are going to have no idea what the fuck the Bears are doing because
Um,
they could have all four of those guys go out in routes, and you're like, oh shit. If we, if you put linebackers on them, mismatch. But if you put defensive backs in there to cover them, that's a mismatch if they decide to run. And Ben Johnson is probably going to put two plays in there, and it depends on what personnel they line up to defend it at. And in the
so
short yardage situation, all right, because if they put in defensive backs to try to cover those tight ends, and then they're like, kill the play, go to the run. You know, those giant tight ends going against cornerbacks, not a good matchup. Not a good matchup.
okay, let's set up the scenario here. You got Caleb under center. Right behind him is Kyle Monangai. And then out in coverage, you have, or, not coverage, but, out there, you have Cole Kmet, Colson Loveland, my boy Large, and the guy they just drafted.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Cool. Cool. Um, so speaking of personnel, what do you think he's going to run most frequently?
uh, 12 personnel probably.
Yeah, it would make sense, right?
Um, I mean, I think he's gonna want to do two tight ends a lot because it's such a mismatch.
Well, when you have both Colson Loveland and Cole Kmet, yes.
Um, I think, I think last year, like half the plays were one tight end, and then like 20 upper 20% were were two tight ends, and then the remainder was three tight ends. I think that was the breakdown. It's like 47% is one tight end. But I think you're going to see that flip flop a little bit. I think they're going to run a lot of two tight end sets.
Fuck it. Go to a 23-man personnel. Wouldn't that be fun? You got your two backs and your three tight ends.
Uh, uh, it, you know, Ben Johnson is going to he's just cooking. He's going to bring out some ridiculous things, and he's going to call it some ridiculous play too.
A 32-man personnel.
Uh, so then that sends us to week 18. Last week of this regular season, we go to Minnesota to play the Vikings, and that is a TBD game.
I feel like we're in the Fox Nagy era again because I swear every year in the 2010s, they always ended in Minnesota. Every year.
Yeah. But as of right now, I mean, pending that week 18 game, and that one, if both teams are good, you know that's going to be Sunday Night Football.
At least a 325. At least.
But you've got 7 primetime games. You've got two Monday night footballs, a Thursday night, which I hate. I hate Thursday night football. For
Why
the
do you
Bears.
hate Thursday Night Football?
I don't mind it on other teams, but I don't like when the Bears play because you know what? I do stuff on Thursday nights and I got to shift my schedule around.
Fair.
Like,
Fair.
I will record the game when it's other teams and just watch it whenever because I don't care. But like I gotta switch my plans around when it's the Bears because I want to watch it live. But you've got 2 Monday nights, a Thursday night, uh, Sunday night, a Saturday night, Christmas and Thanksgiving. 7 primetime games.
Which shouldn't be surprising at
No,
all.
no. I mean that means the NFL thinks a lot of the Bears.
Well, and I mean, either way, the Bears will always get their primetime games because of market size. But yes, I mean, coming off a good season and, seeing what people see in the Bears with the offense and Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, yeah, I mean, it absolutely makes sense, especially when you're in such a stacked division and you're going to be playing some big division games. Now, there are a few interesting things also about this schedule. Number one, they did not land any of the international games, and I am okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I do like about those international games is I love for my fellow Bears fans that use it as a vacation and go fly out for the game. I love that for them.
Sure, sure, that's fair.
But and I do like when the games are on at like 8 in the morning. Because then I watch the game and then I've got the rest of the day to do whatever. But I don't like the fact that it really screws you up, as far as your schedule goes because you're flying to Europe for a game and then flying back. It throws off everything and I don't like it.
Yep, 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 yep. Now, I will say this too. When it comes to international games, you do see a lot of good content from like the social media and the media coverage. I do like that a lot. But again, I'd rather my team not have to go through that.
Unless it was like Mexico City.
Sure, sure. But
Like,
like if
all
you're
right,
flying to Germany or England, that's all the way on the other side of the world.
yeah, those are far. Even like Brazil, that was a fiasco. Um, but you know, Mexico City is still in the same time zone we are. So
Yes,
it's not that far. It's like a 4.5 hour flight. It's not much different than going to California.
right.
And you stay in the same time zone.
Exactly. How about go way north in Manitoba for the Ice Bowl Part 3?
Manitoba.
Yeah.
So the NFL thought enough of the Bears to give them 7 primetime games, but also didn't think enough of them to not bend them over and steal away their draft pick.
There is another interesting thing about the schedule. I don't know if you read this. Do you know where I'm going with this?
I don't know if I do.
They have like the second least amount of travel miles of any
Oh, I
schedule.
did see that. I did see that.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know what? It's like everybody's like, "Oh man, the Bears are going to be playing a first place schedule. It's going to be hard." I look at the schedule, and I'm not saying it's easy. Like definitely not. I mean, especially at the end when you go Buffalo, Packers, Lions, Minnesota. That's a a real a gamut. Um, but I mean, you got Carolina, the Jets, uh, the Saints, Miami. Like it's not as bad as I thought. And then the way it's spread out, like I'm not. It's definitely not an easy schedule because you got the Eagles and you got Packers twice and the Lions twice and the Vikings twice and both teams that were in the Super Bowl. Um, Buffalo. There's hard teams, but the way it's spread out and the way it's distributed between home and the road, it's a lot more manageable than it could have been.
Yeah, and I think you just made the point that I wanted to make too, and that is the fact that it is a bit more spread out because it's hard to spread it out sometimes when you have a really good schedule. But do you remember a few years ago when like the first half of the season was like a super easy schedule and then all your division games and all the primetime games were in the second half?
Yeah.
That's tough. So the fact that you do get some of this spread out a little bit is nice.
I mean, even look at last year is you had well at the time, you had that really tough schedule or stretch of games. And um, it's this it, other than the very end of the season, it kind of breaks it up. Carolina's a very manageable game. Vikings Eagles hard, but then you get the Jets, Packers. We'll see what Atlanta looks like. Patriots Seahawks, then the Bucks by Saints, then Detroit and Jags, then Miami. Then you get a break in there, which could be trap games, but I just don't see Ben Johnson ever letting a trap game, come in there.
Yeah, and regardless if you win or lose, they're not going to treat it like, oh, we're not going to take this as seriously. That's just not going to happen. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that for as tough of a schedule as this is, and this is a real tough schedule, you're not looking at it saying, oh my God, this is just the most brutal thing I've ever seen.
Right. And the fact that, like you said, is that they're not traveling nearly as far as I think it was 49ers were number one. Um, and they were traveling like double the number of miles the Bears are.
It is hard if you're the 49ers because is my guess is are they playing like Eastern divisions?
I let me look.
Because I mean, it would make sense. Like if they had to play like the NFC East, and you had to go out and play the Giants, and you had to play like some of the South, whatever, like in the AFC. If you're playing a lot of those Central to East Coast teams, that would make because they're all the way out in California. So, but I haven't looked at their schedule.
Um, let's see. Away games. The Rams, all right, that's not far, but they go Atlanta, that's far. Uh, Dallas, pretty far. The Giants is far. Kansas
Yep.
City's far. Um, Seattle is not that close.
But it's not far either. It's same time zone.
Um, and but then you got Chargers and the Cardinals, which aren't far.
Are they playing any international games too?
That um
Because if they have to fly to like Germany or something,
um it's looking at the times here. Does not look like it.
hmm. Well, either way, I mean, when you're a California team and you have to play some teams out east, I mean, it makes sense that, they're going pretty far. But yeah, I mean, you look at the Bears, they are not going international, so no transatlantic flights you have to think
Oh, no,
about.
I shut up. I take it back. Week 1, they're playing the Rams in Australia.
Oi.
I take that back because I immediately looked and I was like, oh, they're going to the Rams. That's not far. Um, but no, they're going to they're playing at the Melbourne Cricket Grounds. So here's the internationals. Week 1, 49ers, Rams in Australia. Week 3, the Ravens and Cowboys in Brazil. Week 4, Colts and Commanders in London. Week 5, uh, Eagles and Jacksonville in London. Week 6, Texans versus Jaguars in London. Week 7, Steelers versus Saints in Paris. Week 9, Bengals and Falcons in Spain. Um, and then week 10, Patriots, Lions in Germany. Then week 11 is Vikings and 49ers are playing in Mexico City. So they're playing two international games.
Yeah, I mean, these international games really make or break that total number of miles traveled.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you look at the Bears' schedule and who they're going to, Carolina, East Coast, that's not like going to California. Green Bay's obviously in your division, just north of you. Atlanta, again, closer to the Florida area, Florida/Georgia down there, but that's not super far. It's not close, but it's not super far. Seahawks, that's probably your furthest travel because you go to Detroit, not far. Miami, again, Florida, far, but not that far. Buffalo, not that far, all things considering. And then Minnesota. So yeah, I mean, there's just you're not going super far around the country outside of the game against the Seahawks.
I just wish the Bears were playing every team right after they come back from their international trip.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, there we go. That's the Bears schedule. Should we talk a little baseball here?
Yeah, yeah.
We should probably talk White Sox first. The White Sox are on a heater here.
Yes, they are. And they are hitting a lot of home runs and they are looking more and more legit by the day. I mean, Muni and Colson Montgomery, I mean, they are just absolutely killing ball. And Miguel Vargas, too. Miguel Vargas has been on an absolute heater. He is looking like a legit dude. They might have unlocked something there, but I mean, all three of those guys are hitting the baseball at will, and they're just not stopping. And they're feeling it. They have all the momentum right now. They have all the confidence right now, and I mean, right now they're giving the South Side a lot of hope because I think at least by next year they'll be running this division.
So, Colson Montgomery and Murakami have the most home runs in the same game for the first 45 of a season. And if you add Vargas in there, the three of them have the most home runs in the same game in the first 45 games of a season.
Yeah, I mean,
They're just tearing like at an absolute clip. Is every time you're writing down like stats from games and you're just like, oh, the three of them home run again.
yeah, and they have been taking advantage of every mistake that's been made to them, and that's what a competitive team should do. They're not making the mistakes that they used to. They're taking advantage of the mistakes, and that is a complete 180 from where they've been the past few years. And even in some games where they're not dominating, they find ways to win with the timeliness of it. So all those things matter. I mean, remember how many close games they used to lose? Now they're
Hmm.
winning some of those.
Yeah. And you saw the Sox this week. They uh they swept the Royals and then they take 2 or 3 from the Cubs. And that first game of the series, the Cubs just bats came alive. But the second two games, the White Sox came to play.
Yeah, they saw those cement mixers from Jameson Tyone and they pulverized them. And honestly, I thought that was going to happen. they've been crushing righties and lefties have been crushing Tyone. So it was kind of a match made in heaven for the Sox, not so much the Cubs, but they were able to take advantage of every bad pitch that Jamison Tyone was throwing out there, and they crushed him. They absolutely crushed him, and I think Tyone's neck might be hurting from watching all of those balls fly over the wall.
Yeah. But the White Sox there are now this week they win 5 of 6 games, which is fantastic. And uh they're on a 2 game winning streak and they're 1 game out of first place behind Cleveland. And creating separation between, the rest of the team in the division.
Yeah, I mean that division stinks. It absolutely stinks, and you have an opportunity to win this division. There's a long way to go, obviously, but right now you've given yourself a chance. And I think people were just looking for halfway competent baseball, and right now you're getting a hell lot more than that.
You really are. And uh, you know, I will say it always makes me nervous when you live and die by the home run. But these this the home run numbers that the middle of this order is producing is not fluky at all. It's not fluky.
No, they have legit power.
Yeah, they've got legit power. And this team still has room to improve without making trades. Is I mean, you've got guys in the minors that are ready to come up and bolster this pitching staff. And you could very well add players to bolster your outfield. Like very easily. And it's not like you're looking for superstars out there. You just need dudes that can add any value at all to your lineup.
Right.
Um, I mean, like, Sam Antonacci's playing left field at and he's hitting well. Um, but uh, you're still between Peters and Acuna and Benintendi. Like you can improve in that outfield.
Oh yeah, I mean there's a long way to go. There really is. I mean, you at least can say that you're feeling good about the future of your infield, but sometimes building things isn't linear, so you take care of one area and then you take care of another.
Yeah, and you've got so many stud pitchers that are ready to come up. Um, that it's and did you see that MLB updated their farm system rankings?
I haven't looked at the latest.
So Caleb Bonnemer moved up to #1 prospect for the White Sox.
Over Braden Montgomery, really?
Yep, he's their #1 prospect. They expect him to be up in 2028, so he's got a while still down there. But they list as players to come up this year is Braden Montgomery. Noah Schultz is already up, but Hagen Smith, Tanner McDougal, and uh, William Bergola Jr., who's a infielder. Like those are your 2026 crop of guys that they estimate. But yeah, Hagen Smith, Tanner McDougal, if they're able to contribute, this team could do really good things, especially with that division, which seems very, very winnable.
Yeah, it very. I mean, the Royals are bad, the Twins are terrible, and the Tigers are in trouble, I think. They have some time to turn things around, but and even so, like look at the rest of the AL. The AL is again, it's early, but right now you're very much in the thick of everything. I mean, I think if the playoffs started today, the Sox would still make it as a wild card team, technically.
Yeah, let's see. Um, bu- bu- bu-
Because I know they're
Wild
kind
card.
of battling for the last spot with like the
They
Mariners and
they
the
are
Brewers.
actually 2 games up on the wild cards, the last wild card spot.
Okay, all right.
So right now, the wild card would be the Yankees would have that top wild card. Um, then the White Sox, then Texas. and they're 2 games up on Texas.
And like you look at I do think the Blue Jays are going to figure shit out. I think they're too talented not to. Um, but the rest of those teams, nothing really scares you, does it?
It's funny though, like if you look at the teams that are in, if the playoffs were to start today, you're looking at run differential plus 25, plus 13, plus 68. And then you got the White Sox -7. They've just that they've given up a lot of runs, but they've scored a lot of runs.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that you're gonna have to go with some of the ebbs and flows of the pitching right now, but if you can consistently score the way you do, then you're gonna have a chance in a lot of those games.
Yeah, and it's crazy as you look at the National League. +98, +42, +94, +61. Man, if the playoffs started right now, the Cardinals would be in.
Yeah, they've been playing pretty well so far.
The Brewers and the Cardinals would be 2 of the 3 wild card teams, and uh, with Pittsburgh hot on their trail.
Yeah, I mean it's there's the National League is so competitive right now, and we'll see what it looks like a month from now, 2 months from now. It's such a long season,
Yeah,
but
things change. Things
yep,
change a lot.
and quickly too.
Yeah. But on the other side of town, man, the Cubs didn't have a good week.
No, ever the road trip was not very good. Frankly, the Texas and the Atlanta, I was kind of like whatever. They were 20-3 at one point, and I'm like, okay, they're gonna regress a little bit, and the bats went completely silent, whatever. Um, but again, not taking credit here from the White Sox, but the Cubs pitching this series looked just terrible. I mean, Jameson Tyone giving up 5 home runs.
And it's
That's
not
bad.
just against the White Sox. He's
No,
got a
no,
home
no.
run problem.
He does. Yes, he does.
He
And
looks like Shota last year.
yeah, honestly, I mean, his FIP is like above 6 right now. It's pretty rough. And that's been bad. Cabrera has been very disappointing. Um,
He's just been, and he hasn't been bad. Like he had the one bad game, but he started off good and then just went mid, except for the one bad game. But he's just been mid.
he's been mid, and I think that there's some work in progress with him. So I'm going to be a little patient, but I'm going to call it for what it is. It's looked mid. That's just
Colin Ray has really regressed.
yes, he has.
But luckily Ben Brown has been really good.
That's been the good. Him and
Ben
Shota
Brown and
Imanaga.
Shota have been
Yes,
fantastic.
yes.
And we got potentially good news is Boyd is not that. I mean, Boyd, we're probably like a little over a month away and he'll be back.
And then Caleb Thielbar should be back too.
Yeah.
You need him because look, the bullpen is really banged up, and guys like Ryan Rollison, who you didn't really think you were gonna have to count on this year being bad. I mean, that kind of is
Phil
what it
Maton
is.
hasn't been good.
Phil Maton stinks. He's horrible, and you paid him good money. He is awful.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to figure things out here. I mean, what are the, you know, I you've got to get some reinforcements in this pitching staff. You just got to.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a miracle. It truly is a miracle they made it this far with what they had. It was going to catch up to you eventually. And when you run into a red hot team like the White Sox who are killing everything, it caught up to you. It was going to catch up to you eventually. And the one alarming thing is look at the weather now. It's warm. The balls are flying. It was easy. It was good that they stacked the wins with a hurt staff when it was cold and the wind was howling in. Things are changing now. So, there's going to have to be some adjustments. There's going to be a bit of a grind, but um yeah. But Phil Maton, you need a hell lot better from him. You know what else sucks about Phil Maton? Just the look on his face.
I was gonna say you know what else sucks about him? I'm like his face.
Like
His
he
face.
looks dejected before he even throws a pitch. Like, is that just how he looks? Or is that just how he's I don't know.
You know what even sucks worse about all of the injuries here and is at least with the White Sox, you've got guys down in the minors that you can call up that are gonna be ready this season. And the best Cubs pitcher, Jackson Wiggins in the minors, is hurt. So you can't count on him because I didn't he just start throwing off of a mound recently?
Yes.
So,
He's not an
he
immediate solution.
I mean if he was healthy, yeah, you'd better consider him at least.
Right, but
But
he's not.
he's hurt. So and I think last I heard that he there's maybe back like first or second week of June. So we're
Few
like
weeks.
3 weeks away from him being ready to pitch in the minors. And they're not going to bring him straight up to the majors after that.
No. It just when you mentioned that time frame, that was originally the time frame for Justin Steele.
Did we have an update on Justin Steele?
No. I don't think we're gonna have one for a few weeks. They're gonna reevaluate. They said it's gonna take a month to just reevaluate.
That's never a good sign.
No. No.
Um, so I don't know. Um, so when they say like late May is when they'd get the reevaluation, and at best return around All-Star break,
Post All-Star break.
and it's best case scenario. I mean, if you can stay afloat until the All-Star, until like, the All-Star break, then you'll have hopefully Boyd back. Maybe you have Wiggins. Maybe you have Steele. And if they come and pitch well, the three of them, that that gives you a real big run for the second half. And then you still got the trade deadline. But a lot of ifs.
A lot of ifs.
I think I don't was it you or somebody else posted like that they're neck and neck right now with the record they had in 2016 at this point.
Yeah, they were like, so this was posted on Saturday morning. I think Michael Cerami posted this, but this was like a 1 game difference between the two through the first 45 games.
Yeah,
So sample size.
I don't feel that team felt different. This
I mean,
team this team does not feel like that energy.
no, I mean, the win streaks were great, and I still think they have, a chance to do something good here, but that was a team of destiny, and that team had a fully healthy, dominant rotation. When you
Yes.
had Lester, Arrieta, Lackey, Hendricks, Hamill, all healthy and making 29 to 31 starts a year, that makes all the difference in the world. And I said that that team will always be on another island.
Yeah. So even if they have very similar records, and I'm not saying the Cubs can't do something, but that Cubs team felt like they were,
They
the
looked
best.
invincible.
And, you know, the Cubs, if the Cubs were in the American League, I would feel a whole lot better about where they are.
Yeah, but they're
But
not.
Atlanta and the Dodgers are really fucking good.
So are the Brewers.
Yeah.
So are
The Cardinals.
I still think they come down to earth a little bit. And they haven't been playing as good as you'd think, but the overall record is good and they have the capability. I mean, so San Diego is good. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, San Diego's good.
And I think the Phillies are figuring it out. They fired their old manager. They got Donnie Baseball in there, and they're starting to look like the Phillies again.
Mm. And Schwarber's just clobbering baseballs,
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
and we DFA'd that guy.
I'm not going down there again, but um, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a tough league. It's a tough national league
It's a real tough.
because
Uh,
even because to my point about the Phillies, there are teams that are under the Phillies had underachieved. The Mets have been underachieving. There's just a lot. Even like a team like the Diamondbacks, you can't count them out either.
I'm going to say this: the Mets started off absolutely, probably as bad as humanly possible for that team,
Correct.
and they're they're playing much better baseball right now. Not
Eh,
not dominating baseball, but they're 6-4 in their last 10. They're on a 2-game win streak. Um, that run differential's closing up quick. Uh, I mean, they're still 11 and a half games behind Atlanta, but they're only they're only 3.5 behind Philly in second place. So they've got fight in them still.
I mean, you got talent on that team. You just,
Um,
need to bring it together.
and every team in the NL Central is still above 500.
Yes. It's wild.
I don't know how much longer that's going to happen. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati are losing some steam there,
I
but
do think Pittsburgh will get hot again with their pitching, but yeah, it's they've gotten closer to the 500 mark.
I mean, the look at the difference between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati is that I love the run differential stat. Uh, Pittsburgh's plus 18, Cincinnati's minus 35.
Yeah.
So I think Pittsburgh has more life in them than Cincinnati. Cincinnati's been very disappointing.
Well, they got off to such a hot start, but even you saw them play and how they were winning, you're like, yeah, I don't think this is going to sustain itself. But um, I think when it's all said and done, the top teams in the NL Central, it'll be a battle of Cubs, Brewers, and maybe the Pirates. And I say the Pirates because, they got a rejuvenated offense. And when you have Paul Skeens in there and you have a good pitching staff and, Ashcraft in there, Bubba Chandler hasn't been, amazing yet, but he's got
Bubba.
Bubba. Laughs like a box of chocolates. But, he's got some talent in there and, we'll see. There's still such a long way to go.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, we're what are we 47 games into the season ish. So we're
Yep.
not even 30% of the way through the season. Long way to go. Long, long way to go. But I mean, the last thing is, yeah, we mentioned the White Sox. They had an updated farm system ranking. The Cubs do too. Their number one prospect is Jefferson Rojas.
Not surprised.
Number two, Pedro Ramirez.
Mm-hmm.
Three, Jackson Wiggins.
Mm-hmm.
Four, Ethan Conrad. Five, Kevin Alcantara, which
A
is
lot of
very
homers, a
disappointing.
lot of strikeouts.
Yeah. Six is Kane Kepley. Seven, Jonathan Long. Eight, Josiah Hartshorn. And nine, James Triantos. Again, disappointing spot there. And 10, Owen Ayers. I hate when you see a guy that's at the top of the farm system and then they just never graduate.
Are you talking about Alcantara?
I'm just talking in general. Um, I mean, the Cubs have had a number of those guys.
Man, that's how it goes sometimes.
Um, I mean, it even goes back all the way to Felix PA.
Hmm. Don't remind me.
I remember he was untouchable, couldn't trade him, couldn't include him in a trade because he's going to be the future of this team. Um, so it's I worry that's Alcantara.
I
Um,
just don't think he has a place to play here.
I mean, Ty Griffin, Gary Scott, Josh Vitters,
Well, Josh Vitters was a terrible pick. That was a
Keesop
terrible.
Choi, Corey Patterson,
Well, Corey Patterson, that was the injuries did him in.
Brooks Kieschnick.
Brooks Kieschnick.
Who was the guy that was just the tops and then they got rid of him after he had the bad injury?
Oh, are you talking about Brennan Davis?
Yes, another one.
Him and Braylon Marquez. You remember in
Yeah,
like 2020, 2021, the big future of the Cubs was Braylon Marquez and uh, uh,
Brendan Davis.
Brennan Davis? Yeah.
Yeah, and then that never amounted to anything.
No.
Um, it's tough to count on minor league players.
Yes.
Really tough to do that.
Some
Um,
work out, many don't.
it's true. Many do not. Um, but see who the Cubs did bring in on a
I know
minor league deal?
they brought in Liam Hendricks.
Liam Hendricks.
I know he's going to work out in Arizona, right? That's how it's going to start, and then he's going to go
Yeah.
to the minors. So
Yep.
we wouldn't potentially see him for a while, but that is kind of a fun story.
Um, I mean, he once had a fastball that was like 98 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, his days with the White Sox, he was an all-star closer.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of
I,
great energy.
uh,
And cancer survivor, you got to respect him for that.
but he's 37.
Yeah, well, look at the Cubs pitching situation.
I mean, he very well could make it on this roster and do something better than what they have.
I mean, you're just some of it you really are just tossing ham at a wall and see if it sticks.
Yeah. I'm rooting for him though. I
Me
always like
too.
him. He's a
Me
Lego
too.
guy. He's a Lego guy. So yeah, I always root for Lego guys.
Lego my ego.
Uh, I've always wanted to be. I saw a video of a guy that because you ever go to the airport and you see they have like the vending machines where you can buy a set of Legos. You're like,
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
who's buying Legos at the airport? And then I watched a video of this like lady and she's like, "Oh, my husband buys Legos and builds them on the plane." I'm
Hey, you
like,
gotta do something,
and
right?
I'm like, that's amazing. I mean, I don't think there's enough room, but uh, man, if you were like first class and you had a little more space, like that seems like pretty good. That seems like a good thing to occupy your time.
And now the next thing you know, Sean Hotman is gonna get on a flight. And then as he's going, he's going to be going by the Lego stand and he's going to see a Lego Star Wars section and it's going to be Greedo's house.
What are you building? The Lego Death Star? Isn't that a little big? Shut up.
You're going to do it in this 3 hour flight to New York? Did I stutter? I still have my
Um,
Lego Star Destroyer from when I was a kid. I have my Lego Star Destroyer. I have my Lego Y-Wing. The Lego Millennium Falcon kind of came apart.
yeah. We've got a lot of Lego Harry Potter.
Oh, I had some of that as a kid. I had the Sorcerer's Stone Lego sets, so it had like the dungeon and the Mirror of Eris set and Professor Quirrell with Voldemort on the other side of the turban. I had that.
Um, we have uh we have the train station, King's Cross with platform 9 3/4. Uh we've got the Hogwarts Castle, we've got Hagrid's hut. Um, we've got the Whomping Willow with the flying car.
Oh, I had the Whomping Willow as a kid.
Yeah, so we've got a number of them. My daughter likes to play with them, so like they break, and And in trying to fix a Lego, like you're just better off taking it 100% apart and starting from scratch than trying to repair it. Right.
It's funny. When I was growing up, like I was in second grade when the first Harry Potter movie came out. So like that's when all the cool like toys were available, including the Legos. So I just had so much Harry Potter shit when I was a kid, and it was great.
There'll probably be new stuff when the new series comes out.
That's true. That's true.
A couple more months.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking. See, the reason I was excited about this was because, I love the movies, but you can only include so much in the movies.
The first couple movies, you're like, all right, they got most of it in because they're not big books, the first two books. But by the time, even with the Deathly Hallows being split into two movies, you missed a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Because,
like books like 4, 5, and 6, you just missed half of the book.
well, it's funny because isn't technically the longest book, isn't that Goblet of Fire?
I don't know. I have to go look. We have all of them.
Because I believe that the Goblet of Fire is the longest book, but it's the shortest movie.
Um, let's see. I'm looking it up on the Google it.
Giggle.
From Phoenix is the longest.
Oh, it's Order of the Phoenix.
The Deathly Hallows is second. The Order of the Phoenix is 800 pages, according to Reddit.
Well, then I was wrong.
The Deathly Hallows is 620. The Goblet of Fire is 617. Half Blood Prince is 542. Uh, the Prisoner of Azkaban is 462. The Chamber of Secrets is 360. And the Sorcerer's Stone slash Philosopher's Stone is 332.
Isn't it technically like you don't it's just Philosopher's Stone now? I don't care. I'm gonna call it the Sorcerer's Stone.
You know what? I think I have both versions of the book. That, but I think the series is going to be called The Philosopher's Stone.
Right. Now, Google this too, because I thought like Philosopher's Stone is what they called it in the UK and
Yes,
Sorcerer's Stone was American.
correct.
So I think even the first movie, they have the cuts where they say Philosopher's Stone in the English version, and the American cut, they say Sorcerer's Stone.
Huh. Um, yeah, so the difference between Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone and Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone are minimal. They tell the exact same story, but the US version was edited by Scholastic to change the title and localize vocabulary for American readers. Huh.
Which is interesting.
Beyond the title, Scholastic made minor translation adjustments so the book would be more relatable to American readers and kids would not stumble over unfamiliar British phrasing. A few examples would be mum and mummy were changed to mom and mommy.
Makes sense.
Jumper was changed to sweater. Trainers was changed to sneakers. Sherbet lemon was changed to lemon drop. Revision timetable was changed to study schedule.
They changed sherbet because in the movie she says sherbet lemon. That's interesting.
Hmm.
Sherbet lemon. Because remember, that's what McGonagall says when he sends Harry up to Dumbledore's office.
Yeah. That's the isn't that the code word to get in?
Yes.
Um huh.
Were there any were there any changes? Because I don't remember. It's been so long since I read the books, but did they ever mention like truck versus lorry?
I don't remember.
Maybe not in the first one, but because I mean, really, the only thing I could think of a truck or like a vehicle in a kind of muggle slash wizard sense was the third one with the night bus, but that's a bus, not a truck. So I don't know. Other than
Um
that, there are really no trucks in the Harry Potter main. There's that in the car, the flying car, but car's a car.
yeah. But what was I gonna say? Oh, have you ever listened to the audiobooks of Harry Potter?
No.
If you do, at least the first one book, maybe the first two. So the guy who narrates it is the same guy that narrated the Lord of the Rings books. And there's also a TV show that was, I think it only went one season, but it was really good. It was called Pushing Daisies. And he was the narrator of that show. His name was Jim Dale. And the first book, maybe first two books, he pronounced it, the whole thing is Voldemort. No T. Like silent T.
I think I can picture, because when I grew up as a kid, my best friend and his dad would drive us to school, and oftentimes he listened to the audiobooks for Lord of the Rings. So is it like that same, like kind of a deep voice, slowly talking narrator?
Yes. And he's got a voice for every character that he was really good, except that first book, he just said Voldemort, and it drove me crazy. So I'm like, there's a T. We're in America. There's a T. I don't know what they do in England, but there's a T. Voldemort. And then they changed it either the second or third book. But he did all 7 books.
I don't remember did he also do Chronicles of Narnia, or that might have been somebody else. I think it might have been, because I listened to Chronicles of Narnia as a kid on audiobook.
Let's see. Books narrated. He did Peter and the Starcatchers, The Books of Beginning, the Stoneheart trilogy, Night Circus, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Peter Pan, Around the World in 80 Days, James Herriot's Treasury for Children, A Sick Day for Amos McGee.
I don't even know what that one is.
He did the Harry Potters. Puss in Boots.
Now that I'm remembering, I think it was another narrator that did Narnia. I was just curious. What is this? He also did The Adventures of Marty Havlat in his crock pot. Could you imagine that guy doing the voice of the blah? And then he'd be like, why the fuck did I sign up for this one? It's like, hey, his agent calls him, hey, we got another book for you to narrate. Oh, great. Is it something great like the Odyssey? No. It's an obscure book from Chicago written by these two meatballs.
Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nope, I think I said my piece. I mean, frankly, I could talk about Harry Potter lore forever, but
I can too. I've read all those books multiple times.
Yeah, I want to see that.
I remember when the books would come out. Like I didn't start reading them until I read them right before the 5th book came out. Was when I started reading them. I bought the first 4 as a box set, as trade, like a paperback in a box set, and I plowed through them and finished them right before the 5th book came out. And I like maybe a couple days before, and then I went to the midnight release of the 5th book, and I had read it the next day.
Yeah,
plowed through it.
Yeah, that's good dedication. I respect that. Actually, the first 3 books were read to me by my 2nd grade teacher. She read them to us because that's when Harry Potter movies were first coming out, and that's how I got really into it. I loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it.
Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Share this podcast with your friends. That would grow the show. Follow us on social media at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com, or Swerski_Sports_podcast on Instagram, ShyFanPat2 for Alex on Twitter/X, or AlexanderJPatCreative.com for all the cool stuff that Alex does. And again, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win. Cubs win. Cubs win.
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van. And she looks like
Remember, New Yorkers, smoking crack is not legal on planes. Bears 31 to -7. The Bears.
Oh, when the Bears go Bears.